Hey guys, this is Cloyd from BowHunterPlanet's Hunt Series, and I am just about ready to start my 2015 season. I got a great opportunity this year to head to southwest Wisconsin and spend 4 or 5 days hunting on 500 acres of awesome whitetail habitat, chasing some bucks that are just blowing my mind. I've been getting trail camera pictures from my buddies out in Wisconsin. The bucks they're sending me are just ridiculous. You know, I'm born and raised here in Michigan, and by Michigan standards, you know, we get to hunt some pretty good Michigan bucks every year. And these Wisconsin bucks are just that next level. They're way up there. So I am super psyched. Like I said, the truck's loaded up. I'm ready to go. I'm gonna head into the barn, take a few more shots at the darting, make sure it's ready to go, and come tomorrow morning, I'm hitting the road. We are officially on the road, headed for southwest Wisconsin. Just left the house a little bit ago. Got a few stops to make before we hit the expressway. And then from there on, man, it's hammer down. By tomorrow, we'll be hanging off the side of a tree, chasing some Wisconsin brutes. I'm so excited, man. I can't believe it's finally here. Well, we made it. We're in southwest Wisconsin. It is the first morning of our hunt. We're in a really nice set. We got 2 different hay fields we're looking at. Kind of a short, wide one and then a long, skinny one. They're separated by a ditch right down the middle. I'm going to be quiet and we'll see what happens. Well, that first morning had been a pretty successful hunt, so I was getting ready for that first afternoon with pretty high hopes. Jess took me out to a pretty good stand they call the dump stand, and he told me there was a doe they'd been seeing in that area with her ear was bent. You could, make it real obvious to pick out who she was. And of course, right when I got set up, that doe with the bent ear along with 3 other does came out and started mingling around, and he told me that was the doe they wanted to take, was the one with that bent ear, so I was really excited when she showed up right off the bat. And I kept waiting for them. They mingled out in those beans for a while, and they eventually kind of started to work their way towards me. A small 1.5-year-old 5-point or something came out, and they were all kind of mingled together. And those does, worked away from me, then back, and eventually got down to that little corner that I was looking at. Luckily for them, a 2.5-year-old, pretty nice looking buck came out, and it was awesome to see. A real nice racked buck, and definitely not one they wanted to shoot, but a good looking buck, exciting to see. But once he came on the scene, I certainly wasn't going to shoot a doe and risk kind of boogering him up and spooking him out of that area. So, those does were suddenly off the target list, and I watched that good-sized 2.5-year-old eat for a while. He fed for a while, and eventually him and that 5-point came together and pushed each other around a little bit. Finally fed and wandered off, and the night ended with no shooting or anything, but just another great sit. I was 2 for 2 hunts in. I already saw some really nice, or one really nice buck and a handful of other bucks and a bunch of does, and I was pretty excited to see what the rest of this trip was going to have in store for me. day 2, Jess took me out to a spot he calls the ladder stand, and it overlooks a nice clover plot, and it's, he kept saying it was one of his favorite spots on the whole farm, one of the best spots on the whole farm. So naturally I was pretty excited. The temperatures were low, it was crisp, it was cool. And we did see 2 deer. I saw 2 deer, but they came out a little bit late in the evening and actually fed away from me instead of towards me. So just the risky run, sometimes it just doesn't pan out. But day 2 is a little bit slower than day 1, but I certainly wasn't disappointed. Another great day, and just looking forward to day 3. It's September 21st. It is my 3rd evening sit here in southwest Wisconsin. We're sitting over at a little chicory and clover plot underneath us. And off to my right, to the south and east a little bit, is a big cornfield and a hayfield. And behind me is drops down. There's some bedding and stuff down there. So we're going to try to see if we can catch these deer coming up and heading out to these bigger fields. Hopefully they'll swing through this little plot, maybe like a kind of like a staging area set up, hopefully. So I've also got a man-made water hole here off the side of this plot, and if the deer feel like I do, they'll come hit this water. The sun's pretty warm, so it's been like that all week. And deer moved pretty good the first day or 2, and they've been kind of slowing down today, so we'll see what happens this evening. So awesome. I can't get the camera on the arm tonight because the strap won't fit around the tree. And of course that's 3 of the 4 bucks I've seen tonight. And they came right out in this little plot and started going at it immediately. They were so distracted. I was able to reach in the bag and get the camera. I did not get footage of one of the other bucks, but they were all similar in size. That was awesome. So awesome. I'm gonna take a little bit left. I can't imagine what else is gonna happen. This has been an amazing sit. Alright, we just got back to the truck after what was an amazing hunt. We're on Jess's farm here. I haven't even told him the whole story yet, but he set me up in a stand. He was calling it a failed chicory plot, and it was not a failure. Get set up probably maybe an hour and a half after I got up there. Catch a flash of movement. I hear those 2 come. They come up into the plot. And they start going at it right out in the middle of that plot, like 20 yards away. The whole time I videoed a little bit with my cell phone, and those 2 were so involved in themselves that I was able to reach in the bag and grab the camera and hand shot some of them going at it and everything. And they ended up 10 yards in front of me, sparring right underneath me.
Wow.
Both, again, 2.5-year-old, just beautiful 8 points, just beautiful deer. Again, back home, we've been lights out, game over, no doubt about it. 5 different bucks, 4 of them all 5 of them really within 20 yards. 4 of the 5 would have been chip shots. I could have dropped my arrow on 2 of them. Just ridiculous night. Of course, I didn't have the camera rolling the whole time, go figure, but insane night out here, southwest Wisconsin, man. I don't know what you put in the water out here, but that's ridiculous.
It's
awesome night.
Awesome.
It was an awesome night.
Awesome.
Jess saw a good buck too.
Yeah.
Not to leave him out. So.
Yep, I saw a nice a buck we just called a double brow tine buck. He's a younger, I figure him out to be a 3.5-year-old, probably 130-inch deer. It was a mainframe 8 with a nice split brow tine, and saw a doe too, but they're starting to get aggressive though. I mean, they're shadow boxing trees and making scrapes and stuff, so I think there's enough bucks in the area that they can't help but have a little higher testosterone.
Yeah.
So
it was crazy. I don't even know what to say right now. I just had 4 bucks come through this plot, same plot I was in last night. Had 4 bucks come through, 2 of which were hit list bucks. And it was just dark enough, it just starting to get light. It was light enough to shoot for sure. But they came up through some grass and stayed in some brush and stuff. And I got perfect footage of them at 35 yards for, I don't know, 150-inch deer probably. Not probably, 150-inch deer. And I just filmed him walking broadside at 35 yards. And by the time I realized who it was, I was stuck. I couldn't do anything. And then right behind him was another buck, not nearly as big, but an old buck that is on the list. And by the time I realized it was him, at that point I tried, put the camera, got the camera out, got the bow, but just wasn't enough time. I blew it. I didn't recognize him right away. I kind of held and held it. By the time I got a really clear, good look at him, it was all too obvious then, but it was all too late too. So it's early, so we got some time. We're gonna just sit back and lament what could have been and hang out for another couple hours and see what happens. But that was it. Last morning, it's like the picture perfect storybook. Last morning, buck you're looking for, and you walked right past. So it's gonna be a long drive back tomorrow, I think, but we'll see what happens. Well, that fourth and final evening, I was still hoping for a buck to show up, and I was fairly confident one might. There were so many bucks out there that I certainly wasn't ruling it out, but I was also looking to try to fill that doe permit if I got the opportunity. And we had talked, all during the trip about trying to find a lone doe. That was the kind of deer that Jess wanted to try to take off that farm, so they got a lot of does. They're looking to lower their numbers, so I was hoping to get that opportunity. And after about 40 minutes or so in the stand, a doe did pop out, and she fed for only about 4 or 5 minutes out in that little lane, but that whole time nothing came out with her. So I thought, okay, well, maybe she is by herself, and this might work out all right. But she did pop right back into that bedding area after just a few minutes, and kind of thought, well, maybe that was my one opportunity, and it's just not going to pan out here. But didn't take too long, probably 30 minutes or so. She came back out and started feeding on those beans pretty heavy, and you could tell she was kind of here to stay, if you will. So initially her path was about 40, 45 yards out, and I wasn't really keen on pressing that shot distance. And was thinking at that point in time she was going to have to come a little closer before I got too excited about possibly getting a shot at her. But luckily for me, unluckily for her, she decided to come up through a bit of a drainage ditch that was in that field. And if she stayed on that path, she was going to come to about 25 yards or so in distance from me. And once she started feeding up that lane, I thought, well, this might just work out. I started to get a little bit excited. So she did actually come right up that ditch and was, feeding right towards me. So I kind of figured it was game on, and I got pretty excited about what might happen here. Well, just shot a doe. I just looked back at the film, and it looked like a pretty good hit. I saw when she was running away. I could see the opposite side, hole and blood coming out. So looks like we got it done on a doe last day. We'll see. Hopefully we get down. We still got a little while before dark. Might be able to get down and get on her before it gets dark.
Oh yeah, there you go. Good blood. It's all over. Oh my gosh. That's the blood we wanted. Look at all that.
Yeah, now she's starting to pump. Well, it's the last night in southwest Wisconsin, and This doe came out, she's all by herself. She actually came out twice, and nothing came out with her. We've been trying to take a lone doe if we could, and I'll be honest with you, I looked her over, I thought she was a little bit bigger than she is, but she's not. You can't take it back now, so here we are. Nice young doe, she'll taste really good, and in the end we accomplished the goal of getting, you know, one less doe on this farm. There's tons of does out there, and Jess and his group are trying to lower that number a little bit, so hopefully, you know, we help them out with this. Shot was good, she didn't go very far. Everything seemed to work, you know, first deer with this darting, and shot was on the money. It's done now. We're going to take her back home to Michigan, feed the family, and get ready for the rest of this season.